This title is narrated with virtual voice, computer-generated narration for audiobooks. The Visual Revolution by Barrett Williams and ChatGPT. ChatGPT. Chapter 1. Setting the Stage. Late 19th Century Art Movements. At the end of the 19th century, art was at a crossroads. The academic traditions that had dominated since the Renaissance were being called into question, and new movements were emerging in Paris and beyond that sought to redefine what art should be. These movements would form the foundation of modern art and lead to a revolution in the way artists saw and depicted the world. One of the most important art movements of the late 19th century was Impressionism. Led by artists such as Claude Monet and Edgar Degas, Impressionism sought to capture the fleeting moment, the play of light and color, and the sensory experience of being in the world. Rejecting the polished finish and historical subject matter of academic art, Impressionism emphasized subjective perception and the everyday. Another important movement of the late 19th century was Post-Impressionism. Led by artists such as Vincent van Gogh and Paul Gauguin, Post-Impressionism built on the innovations of Impressionism while pushing into new territory. These artists were interested in expressing emotion and spirituality through color and form, and sought to create works that were highly individualistic and subjective. In addition to these movements, the late 19th century also saw the emergence of Art Nouveau, a style characterized by sinuous lines, organic forms, and elaborate ornamentation. Art Nouveau was a reaction against industrialization and the machine aesthetic, and sought to create a new style that was rooted in nature and the human touch. All of these movements were united in their rejection of tradition and their embrace of the new. They sought to capture the changing world around them and to create a new form of art that was relevant to the modern age. They wanted to break down boundaries between different art forms and to create artworks that spoke to people on an emotional level. By the turn of the century, these movements had laid the groundwork for what would become modern art. They had shown that art didn't have to be about depicting the visible world with perfect accuracy, or about creating beautiful objects for their own sake. Instead, art could be about exploring the inner world of the artist, or about creating new forms of beauty that were relevant to the changing society of the time. In the coming years, modern art would continue to evolve and change, with new movements and styles emerging in rapid succession. But it was in the late 19th century that the seeds of this revolution were sown. With their rejection of tradition, their embrace of the new, and their willingness to take risks and experiment, the artists of this period set the stage for the modern art that would follow. Chapter 2. The Birth of Modernism, Art Nouveau, and Symbolism. At the turn of the 20th century, the art world saw a dramatic shift as artists sought to break away from the traditional styles of the past and create something entirely new. This movement, known as modernism, manifested itself in a variety of forms, including Art Nouveau and Symbolism. Art Nouveau, which emerged in the 1890s, was characterized by its use of sinuous lines, organic forms, and an emphasis on craftsmanship. Its name, which means new art in French, was fitting as it sought to break away from the rigid structures of academic art and embrace a more free-flowing aesthetic. The movement was heavily influenced by nature and drew inspiration from the flora and fauna found in the natural world. Artists often incorporated these elements into their designs, creating intricate patterns and motifs that were both beautiful and functional. One of the most notable features of Art Nouveau was its focus on craftsmanship. Artists sought to create pieces that were not only visually striking but also well-made. This emphasis on quality and attention to detail was a response to the mass-produced goods that were becoming increasingly common at the time. By creating pieces that were unique and handcrafted, artists hoped to elevate the status of art and push back against the commodification of everyday objects. Symbolism, which emerged around the same time as Art Nouveau, was another important precursor to modernism. Unlike Art Nouveau, which emphasized the decorative aspects of art, symbolism was more concerned with the inner, emotional life of the artist. Many symbolist artists sought to convey a sense of spirituality or mysticism through their work, using symbols and metaphorical imagery to suggest deeper, hidden meanings. One of the most influential symbolist artists was Gustave Moreau, who was
To keep listening to this audiobook for free, click the link in the description. It will take you to a free Audible trial where you can listen to this and many other books for free for 30 days.